Okay, before we get into these tier rankings, I just want to say, after this, we're gonna go into, of course, roster gradings again, and then after that, I'm gonna go back to rebuilds. Sorry, I haven't been doing it. It's been tough with all this draft stuff and all that. Rebuilds are back, and when I get Madden 22, I'm gonna get really back into them. Either way, like and subscribe and enjoy the tier list. This is cornerbacks first, then safeties, all in one video. So it's gonna be a pretty long one. Watch cornerbacks and watch the safeties, because I'm just going to say disclaimer first off. Safety's going to be hard to grade. Here's why. Because their pictures aren't very clear, just to say that. It's kind of hard to do that. But then the cornerback one is very well made. I just want to say that. Franchise guy, the YouTuber, please go subscribe to him. He did a really good job with this. Either way, like and subscribe and enjoy the video. And of course, go watch the roster grades because those are really hard to make and they're really fun too. But either way, I'll just get into this thing. Okay, guys, let's get right into this. Paulson Adebo. Here's the thing about him. He is a third-round pick from the Saints. He's a really good player. Honestly, I really like him. And of course, we got trash, quality, high-end, elite. That's an elite slot. There's quality one, high-end, and there's elite. These are for, okay, let's just get into this. So this is elite outside receive outside, high-end outside, quality outside, elite slot, high-end slot, quality slot, and then there's really quality. And then, oh, never mind. There's elite outside, high-end, quality, and then there's just elite slot. There's high-end outside, quality outside. There's a quality slot. And then there's intrigue boundary slot. Boundary then intriguing slot. These are both for the rookies. And then there's bad. Paulson Adebo is a slot cornerback. They really need him because if he gets burned a lot to me, he's really intriguing. I like him. Adoree Jackson is an outside. He's a quality. So I'm not going to call any, unless he's really bad. He's a quality too. Here's the thing about him. He gets injured a lot. He's not high end. And he's not a bad player. It's just he's really fast and he gets burned a good amount. But he's still a pretty good player. So I can't really say he's bad. Then we got Mackenzie Alexander, another fast guy. He's a good boundary corner also with Adoree Jackson. They're really the same player, except Mackenzie Alexander is a little more healthy, but either way, they're both not very good. Then we got Robert Alford. He's bad. He used to be pretty good. He's never been awesome, but he's okay. But he's not as good. Avonte Maddox is a quality slot. You're not gonna get much better than him in the slot unless you go for what his market is. But he's still a pretty good slot. Like, he could get better, but he's not that bad. Amani Oriaraway, or whatever the frick his name is, he is I saw good things. He's definitely the best cornerback on this roster, other than Jeff Okudah. But he's still a good player. Like, he got burned a lot, but I liked how he played throughout the season at times. He's, like, not good, but he's not the reason their defense was so bad. Avery Thomas, he's a boundary. He's good. He's like no star, but he does his job. Asante Samuel Jr., he's probably has the most potential out of every corner in this draft. Here's the thing, though, a lot of potential, but he has a lot. He's a boomer bust prospect, but man, he's such a good player. Chidobe Awuzie, he's a high end too. Like, he's a high end player. He's better than these guys because he doesn't get burned a lot. He does his job. He's a good player. He probably would be quality one and number one, but he's a number two, to tell you the truth. And he's not great. So he goes here, but he's still a high end number two. You'd want him as your number two. Rashad Breeland, he's a quality number two. He's nothing great. Like, he's not a slot, but here's the thing, he gets a lot of turnovers, and it's really, really, for the Vikings, they didn't have a lot of turnovers last year, and as a result, it was really tough for them to get anything going on defense. So I really like they put him here because they got him so they could force a little more turnovers. But he's not the guy we want shutting down. So Byron Jones is probably the best number two in the league right now. He's such a good number two. He's a quality number one, to tell you the truth. But in the rollers right now, I can't put him there because there's some other guys that are just there. Blez Austin, he's a quality number two. I'd put him there. Like, He's not a good number 2, but he you can start him and he won't hurt you. I'll just put it that way. He's not a slot, but he does his job on the outside. If you have a safety with him, he'll do wonders. But he's just not that good. But he's not bad either. Like he doesn't get burned. AJ Boye is another quality guy. Like he used to be high end number 1. And then he went to high quality number 1. Like, you got to keep in mind, Jalen Ramsey was the starting corner, but he was still playing like a number 1, not number 2. Then last year when he was on the Broncos, I thought he was a high-end number 2. Good number 2 you'd want. Not a number 1, but a good because he regressed a lot. He's still a good player, though. He's just regressed a lot. Bryce Callahan is an elite slot. He's one of the best in the league. You're not going to get much better. You're only going to get like 2 guys who I could say who are better than him in the slot, but he's not bad. So Cameron Sutton, he's not a prospect, but I haven't seen much from him. And as a result, I'm going to put him in so he's not a prospect, but we haven't seen enough for him for me to evaluate him. So he's an intriguing prospect. Here's why. I have not seen much from Cameron Sutton at all. The Steelers haven't seen much from him. So they're just I'm putting him here for now. He's a number 2. I can't move him anywhere else. Cameron Dantzler, another guy who's going to be a quality number 2 this season. Here's the thing. You could have him he was a number 1 last year. He wasn't very good. Then you put Jeff Gladney. He took a lot of the hits. But here's the thing. Cameron Dantzler's a good player. He's not going to be great. That's why he wasn't picked in the first round, but he's still a good player. Casey Hayward is still a really good cornerback. He used to be one of the best in the league. He's still a high-end number 2. He's not going to be a good number 1. I can't give him a quality number 1 because he gets beat a lot, but he's still pretty good. He's gonna be okay for it. He's just not a number 1, but he's fine where he is. And then you got Carlton Davis. He's a quality number 1. He's really proved that. He gets burned by some guys, and then he does a really good job stopping guys. He does his job. Like he's a good number 1. It does help the Bucs have such a good pass rush and such a good D line, but he does his job. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He is a high-end number 2 to an elite player. He's definitely a high-end number 2. He's not their number 1, but he's still a really good player. C.J. Henderson. He is a quality slot. You could literally have. He's not elite yet. He will be an elite slot, but he's quality. Corn Elder. Here's the thing. Corn Elder's not bad. He was not bad. I just want to put that out there. He's not a bad player. He's gonna be here because he's on the Lions, but he's not a bad player. From what I've seen, I can't put him in. He's bad because he's not bad. I'm just telling you that. Ronald Darby, he's a high number 2. Watch his film. There's nothing really to complain about. Maybe not like as special. Still a really good player though. Desmond King is an elite slot. He's the best player on the defense for the Texans, other than Zach Cunningham. He is. He's better than Eric Reed. He's an elite slot still. He got injured. No, they did not put him in the right spot on either of the teams he played for, in the Titans and the Titans and Chargers. They didn't put him in the right spot. As a result, he didn't do well, but still an elite slot. When he was playing in the slot, he was doing his job. He was the only, the trade was kind of worthless for the Titans because they didn't know how to use him. Desmond Trufant is not a starting number 1 anymore. He's still a quality number 2, maybe. Like, Jalen Johnson is definitely the best receiver on that corner on that team, but let's see. Pierre Desir is bad. He gets burned a lot. Like, he makes play after play sometimes. He's just not very good. DJ Reed is not a prospect anymore. He's different than Cameron Sutton because he actually did get playing time. He's a quality number 2. He's decent. He doesn't get burned at all, but he's just not very good. Cooper Kupp got around him sometimes, but he's just small and can't make the plays. He needs to be a number 1. He's the best cornerback on that team, from what I know, and it's tough for me to put him anywhere else. David Long is going to be a decent slot. I'll just tell you that because he's on the Rams. Jalen Ramsey's going to be moving all around. All he has to do is make sure he doesn't get burned on these guys. He can do that. He's a good corner. Not great, but he's good. So he's a quality slot. Dante Jackson is a quality 1. He is the fastest cornerback in the NFL. He gets burned somehow from time to time. He's still a good player though because he's the best player in that secondary. He's better than Jeremy Chin. He's not great, but he does his job, so I can't really complain about that. Dante Jackson, he's a really good corner. Darius Phillips isn't Darius Phillips a safety or whatever. Darius Phillips is bad. He's not very good. Like, he wasn't good, and he probably will never be good. I'm just gonna tell you that because he just doesn't have the talent. Now you go Darius Slay. He's still a quality number one. He's not high end because he's regressed a lot, but he's still a good player. Quinton Dunbar. I'm gonna say this another time. He's so talented. He just gets in all this absolute mess. He's always in a mess. Still a great corner though. So talented. Different than DeAndre Baker. Caleb Farley. He's an intriguing boundary. He's a good player. Like, I like what I see from him. Rashad Fenton, he's a slot. He's a quality slot. Never, ever makes mistakes in there. He does sometimes miss tackles, but the coverage is very rarely blown. Christian Fulton, I don't know what's the big talk about him. He's a quality slot, I'd say. Like, none of these guys are amazing, but they do their job. Christian Fulton's an okay slot, I'll just say that. Stephon Gilmore's elite. He's one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL still. He's not bad, but he does his job. I'm going to say this Greedy Williams is bad. He's so bad. He's just not good. He's never been good. That's why they drafted Greg Newsome. He is an intriguing outside guy. That's why they drafted him. Greedy Williams probably going to be the slot. He's just not good. But Greg Newsome is good. If we're going to talk about Stephon Gilmore, he's locked down. He can't really get much better. Shaquille Griffin, he gets burned a lot, but makes plays when he has to. He's a quality number one. I like that. They overpaid him, but he's still a really good player. Joe Hayden he used to be one of the best. He's still a high-end number two. Not a number one anymore, but he's still a high-end player. You're not going to get much better than him at that number two. Bryce Hall, he is their number one. I'll tell you that he's not a number one. He is a decent number two. I'll just tell you that. There's a little, Bless Austin and Bryce Hall, they're not great, and they're not going to help them really win. Bryce Hall is good. Bless Austin is good. They're just not great. Chris Harris he's still an elite slot. I'll tell you that. Like, he gets burned now, but he still makes plays. He really helps the younger guys get better. It's fun to watch with Chris Harris. Still a really good player. He definitely bounced back from 2019. Mike Hilton. Well, he got injured, but still, when he was playing, he was fine. Mike Hilton, high end number two. Just really young, really good. Nothing much to say. J.C. Horn, highest floor of any cornerback in the draft, even higher than Patrick Surtain. Super solid prospect. Isaiah Oliver should not be starting. He's the worst cornerback they have starting. He's not good at all. Gets burned all the time. Gives them a lot of touchdowns. He's just not good. Jair Alexander, he's also elite. I don't like Jair Alexander at all. He got burnt once last year. He's a higher PFS than Jalen Ramsey. Really good player. Can't really say anything bad about him. James Bradbury. So, he was a high-end number two. In the middle of the season, he was a quality number one. He's a high-end number one now because no one is going to get anything over the top on him. Nothing bad happened when he was on the field. Let's say that. Tell you that. He really elevated that defense along with Leonard Williams, who finally broke out. The Jackrabbit. He used to be a high-end number two. He's a number two. He's not as good as he used to be. Jason Verrett. He's a quality number one. He gets injured all the time. He could be an elite corner if he didn't get injured as much. He's getting up there in age in terms of cornerback age. It's kind of crazy. He's like 29. He's still a really good player, though. Like, I can't say that's not true. He's so underrated. Jalen Johnson. So we saw a good amount from him. Like, I'm going to still put him here because I didn't see enough from him. He's probably the best rookie corner. He's going to get moved up. Probably he's going to be a hot quality number one next year. I just can't really put him anywhere else. J.C. Jackson, he is a slot, and he is an elite slot. He had 9 picks last year. So underrated. He really made the jump. He was a quality slot. Now he's an elite slot. I'll just put it that way. Jamel Dean, he's a quality number two. He's not great. He's not bad. He just does his job when he's out there, and that's all that matters. Jeff Gladney, he is awful. He was worse than Jeff Okudah. I'm just telling you that. Jeff Okudah was terrible. Jeff Gladney was worse. I'm just telling you that. And Jeff Gladney, absolutely got cut because he was being an idiot. Jeff Okudah is trying to get better. Like, he just had a tough year because they put him in there. It was really dumb by Matt Patricia to do that. But, hey, it doesn't get any worse. But Jeff Okudah, like the season got progressively worse from the start. Was actually not that bad. Then it just got worse week by week. The way he played, he wasn't quality at all. He shouldn't be starting. But I'm putting him in quality number 2 because he played like a number 2 corner that he honestly probably the first week of the season he played like a number 1. Then he played like a high end number 2 because he got burned by Devontae Adams a lot. Progressively got worse, but I still have to put Jeff Okudah in quality 2 because he was such a good prospect. Still a really good player. Just needs to work on everything. He's not that fast. He just needs to he needs to be able to play press, and if he's able to do that, he'd be a really good player. Jimmy Smith, he's an elite slot too. Like all these guys you want in the slot, they're just so good at their job. They get a lot of picks. They gobble up everything. Jimmy Smith is the definition of that. Jonathan Jones, he's a high-end number 2. It's really hard to get many better players than him. It really is. He's a really good player. Kelvin Joseph. Yeah, Kelvin Joseph is an intriguing prospect. I really like him. The one big bad thing about him is that he's in Kentucky and he gave up 3 touchdowns. That's just not good when you think of elite college corners. They need to be a number 1. He's an intriguing prospect. Let's see how he plays. Kendall Fuller is probably the best slot in the NFL. He's so good. You can put him at safety. He's just a really good, versatile player. Kenny Moore. He's also an elite slot. There's so many elite slots. Kenny Moore's the best player in that secondary. Here's why. Because he doesn't make mistakes. That guy never gets burned. He never makes mistakes. He makes the tackles. He does everything. He's really good. Kevin King. I can't put him in he sucks because he doesn't suck. Like, he gets burned. I get all that, but he's really not that bad. Like, I can't really call him bad. That's not all that I'm saying. Now we go on to Kevin King. Like, he's Eric Stokes is better than him. K'Waun Williams. Meh. He didn't really play slot. He's a quality number 2. He's okay. Nothing special. He won't make the mistakes that some of the other guys make. Kyle Fuller. He's a high end. No. He's a quality number 1. He used to be high end. He was never elite. I'll just say that. But he was a high end number 1 that never made mistakes, like Marshawn Lattimore is. He shuts down a receiver every year, and they get really mad. And he gets burned sometimes. He gives up touchdowns, but he's still so good. He's their best player in that secondary. Levi Wallace. Here's the thing about him. He's really tough to grade, but he's still a high end number 2 because you never really hear him being talked about because he's a good player. He doesn't get burned at all. He doesn't have the picks, but he's still a really good number 2. You can't complain about him. Jordan Lewis is a quality slot. He wasn't bad. He just wasn't very good. He got burned a lot. Whatever. Marco Wilson, isn't he on the Bengals? Let's say this is the Bengals corner. He's not a starting corner. He's a punt returner. Marlon Humphrey is not elite. There's only 3 guys I'm putting in elite, but he's still great. He's one of the best corners in the NFL. I'll just put it that way. Malcolm Butler is a number 2. You do not want him starting. If that happens, that's just going to be bad. He could bounce back. He's been in his whole career. He had a couple really good years, but he's not very good. Michael Davis, high end number 2. He gets so many touchdowns. I'm not kidding. He's just a touchdown machine. Really good at taking the ball off. Really good hand-eye coordination. Really good player. Jimmy Moreland, quality slot. He's the definition of average. Does his job, and that he just goes home and just does his job. Stuff like that. Trayvon Mullen is a quality number 2. He's young, and I like how he plays. He is not a number 1. I'll tell you that. He got burned, but he did not stink, and that's why I'm putting him here. Byron Murphy. He is not a high-end number 2, but he is a quality one. There's going to be a lot of quality 2s because I can't really put these guys because they don't stink, but he's fine. He doesn't stink. He's fine. Noah Igbinoghene didn't really play. When he did play, he wasn't good, but he's still an intriguing slot, so I'm putting him there. Pat Pete, high-end number 2. He used to be an elite corner. Not that anymore. He used to be a quality number 1. Not that. Still high-end number 2. You do want him on your team. Marcus Peters. He is not a number 2 cornerback. He is a quality 1. Yeah, he's a high-end. He's not as good as Marlon Humphrey. Probably last year was he. He didn't have a great year this year, I have to admit that. But is he better than that? Yes. Brian Poole. This is tough. Brian Poole is not a good corner. I have to admit that. He's not good. Still gets the job done. He's quality. Jalen Ramsey, he's the best corner in the NFL. Do not call me anything. He shut down every receiver he played against. No receiver he played against had any type of sort of big game. And if anyone cares, I go Gilmore, Ramsey, Gilmore, Alexander for my top 3. Wait, did I get 2 Bradley Robies? Where did I put Bradley Roby? Oh, Ronald Darby, not Bradley Roby. Bradley Roby is a high-end number 2. He's really good corner. He's a really good corner. Nothing special, but he's just really good corner. Not a number 1. He will be though, because he'll make plays. I can guarantee that. Rocky Yassin has been very disappointing, but he's still like decent. It's not like he's a liability. He's just not good. Richard Sherman is a high-end number 2 these days. He's one of the best known corners in the NFL still. He doesn't have a team because he's losing his mind, but either way, we're going to Sidney Jones. Sidney Jones is a high-end number 2. He didn't play slot because that's what Henderson played, but he was still he actually finally broke out. He was the best player on that Jaguars defense, and Miles Jack, of course. But either way, now we go to Sean Murphy-Bunting. Sean Murphy-Bunting is a high-end number 2 because he supports Carlton Davis like anyone. He absolutely compliments him, and that's really good. L'Jarius Sneed. He's still a prospect. I don't want to grade him yet. He was good. He wasn't great. I really thought he was overrated, but whatever. Steve Nelson is so underrated. He played that number 1 for the Steelers. He didn't really have to do much, but when he did his job, so not a number 1, but he's definitely a number 2. Really a number 2. Eric Stokes, intriguing boundary guy. He's not gonna play the slot, but he's good. And yeah, that's all I have to say about him. Shannon Sullivan should not be starting. He's not a good corner. He's just a returner. Patrick Surtain, another good boundary guy. He is shut down. Here's the thing about him. Asante Samuel Jr. would absolutely crush Patrick Surtain if they had a fight. J.C. Horn, a little better than Patrick Surtain. Patrick Surtain still probably the best overall corner of the draft, though. Tavon Young is a quality number 2. He's the 4th corner, believe it or not, on the Ravens. He's still a really good player, though. Like, when he's out there, he showed, I'm a good corner. A.J. Terrell. He is a high-end number 2. He honestly was probably better than Jalen Johnson. I saw from him, you're a good corner. Not much better, but you're a good corner. You could probably be a number 1 by next year. He really played well. I just want to tell you that. Like, he gave up touchdowns, but really played well for that when he compared to everyone else in that class. Teron Johnson is a quality slot. Other than that pick, he didn't really do much the whole season, but he's still a good slot. I can't really complain. Trey Flowers. Okay. Trey Flowers. He is a quality slot. He frustrates me. If you watch the Rams, Cooper Kupp beats him every time. Every time. Trey Flowers is not that bad, though. But either way, he's decent. Trayvon Diggs, so much growth. He's a quality number 2 the way he played. He got burned so much. But it was kind of painful. But he's a rookie, and he's on the Cowboys, so I kind of have to give him a break. Tre'Davious White's elite. Yeah, I'm not lying. He is so good. He's just such a good player. He gets picks. He does everything. Do it all. Tyson Campbell's a safety. Troy Hill, he's a good slot. He's probably the best out of all these guys here. Troy Hill can be an elite slot. He won't be, but he's a really good slot. Tyson Campbell. What about him? Oh yeah, he's not a boundary guy. He's gonna play in the slot, but he's not that bad. He's decent. I'll just say that. Javarius Ward is a decent number 2. Nothing special. Gets burned. He does his job though, so I can't really say anything worse. Denzel Ward's a high-end number 1. So fast, such a good player. He had a really down year. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't pick the ball off in 2019, but he's had a really good year in 2020. 2021, he needs to be even better if he wants to maintain that role as that number 1 corner because he got some competition. Still a really good player though. Trey Waynes. Wait, did I do? Oh, I did Mackenzie Alexander. Wait, is it Yeah, Mackenzie Alexander. My bad. Mackenzie Alexander is a slot, and he is a quality slot. I'm thinking of Trey Waynes. Trey Waynes is the cornerback for the Bengals. He goes there. He's a high-end number 2. Really good player. Mackenzie Alexander is a really good slot too. I just gotta say that. Darius Williams. He could probably be a number 1. He was here last year. He's there now because of how good of a year he had. He had such a good year. I'm not kidding. Such a good year. He had 4 picks. He was shut down. He could be a quality number 1 next year if he steps it up even more. One of the best number 2s in the league. William Jackson. I'll just move him up here. William Jackson. He's a quality number 1. He's proved it. I'm a number 1. I'm going to be the number 1 on this team. Really good cornerback. Akello Witherspoon. Nothing special. He does his job. All I have to say about him. Xavier Rhodes is absolutely shut down. I forgot all about him. He's not high end. He used to be high end, but he showed I'm still got it. I'm still a great corner, and he's right. Xavier Howard, you know what? Whatever. I'll put him here. He's an elite corner. There's nothing more to say about him. Really corner. Yeah, it's gonna be the end of the tier list. He had 10 picks, of course. Xavier Howard. In the end of the tier list, please like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the video. And of course, I know it's a long one. Thanks for sticking with me. But we got the safeties next. Should be fun to do. Okay, guys, I'm gonna make a separate video for the safeties because this video is super long. I don't want you guys to wait any longer. But either way, like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the video.